One of the largest superpowers at present in the world has creating new emissions target. I'm not talking about United States. I'm not talking about Russia. I'm talking about the technological development country. I'm talking about the renewable energy brand, the China. We all know in the global south, China is very important country regarding the parameter of climate emissions target, regarding the carbon emissions target, regarding the emergency situation, what is caused the renewable energy platforms, regarding the flood control, regarding the particular disaster management policies, and also the future perspectives from 2030 to 2060. So this is at present my discussion regarding the China already has planted their targets for climate neutralized about the carbon emissions by 2060. But the thing is that they have created new emissions target, which is very important for upcoming COP30 summit regarding on United Nations conference or discussions with the Brazil on the leading on another countries which are actually facing carbon emissions. And the other part, which is very important, the 2030 target about SDG goals, which is very important. First of all, I want to share the data set, which is very important regarding China, that China is facing at present more than 30% of the global carbon emissions, which is very important. What we also call that one third of the carbon emissions is controlled by China. So, what should be the measurement? What should be the policy? What should be the upcoming future plan for their perspective? The perspective is definitely the renewable energy sources, which actually they are the brand of the renewable energy sources or on plantations, on the process, the technological issue, and also the upcoming requirement for the renewable energy for the human living and the needs. They're already starting up plantations of the energy sources, the world's largest renewable energy plant in the mountains, which is very important, which will provide the energy collections regarding a requirement of individual persons on the basis of coal emissions. They have the power to maintain the coal emissions, which is very important. They are trying to control the coal emissions. On the purpose of the conference regarding the Brazil COP30 president, we all know Lula da Silva, which is already discussed that we are actually in the critical emergency in the climate crisis. Many countries regarding on the carbon emissions facing the huge amount of crisis structure. Like Brazil is also facing the same issue when we are talking about the Belém, which is the gateway of Amazon. Amazon indigenous communities are facing the crisis, the losing of rainforest, the deforestation, the forest fire, which is actually a part of carbon emission structure, and which is also the creating afforestation is also the creating a low amount of emissions. But the thing is that this is the time to discussion on the policy, which is very important. So what is actually the new targets of China when we are talking about the China emissions target, that they have planted their targets around 7 to 10% emissions control by 2035, which is very important, and which is already their planted policy regarding on renewable energy resources, renewable energy sources upcoming works, how they are maintaining their energy consumptions, and also they are controlling their coal emission, which is very important. On the another part, they are maintaining the renewable energy sources for the making the dam of extreme hydrological power. They are trying to use hydropower on the energy sources, which is very important. They are using air powers, which is for the energy sources is very important. They are using the methodology of hydrolysis for the oceans, which is very important for energy sources, and which is also beneficial for the renewable energy part. So they are actually going through on the particular parts on the regarding on the using of renewable energy, and the other development countries should follow in this policy. This is the time for renewable energy actions. And already Brazil, Peru, Argentina, other South American countries, and even on the same perspective on the global south, when we are talking about India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, they are also in the crisis of the climate issues, unusual rainfall, unusual climate disaster, agriculture losing lands, threat for the coastal areas, which is very much important for the upcoming days. What should be the measurements? What should be the policy? What should be the actual plan to control these kinds of issue? So this is very important on the China's policy, that they are particular planning on the 7 to 10% carbon emissions, which is very important by 2035, and they have planned for by 2060 to complete neutralize of carbon emissions, which is also a crucial plan for the upcoming days. On the other perspective, if we are talking about the developing nations, they are also facing these kinds of crises. This is in time of support regarding the control the coal emissions, which is very, very important. Same thing, same happening on the other south global south countries like India, Bangladesh, and other countries. Pakistan is facing at present extreme flood, which we already do here to the from the Pakistan Prime Minister that he told that the extreme flood scenario, the river parameters, the river flowing, it is extremely dangerous at present, because we all know the unusual constructions, real estates, and unusual cutting of the trees, and also the maintaining the proper infrastructure to damaging the mountains, which is creating a massive dangerous scenario to managing a particular plan regarding on urban planning and regarding on the mountains, which is tied to a different perspective from these kinds of global south countries, which are flat prone zones regarding like India and Himalayan regions, Pakistan's some areas of the regions, Bangladesh coastal area regions, which is very, very important. This kinds of type of discussions. So this is the time to making a particular propaganda to make a community unity regarding a maintain a more balanced on the carbon emissions. Or I already told that there should be a plan for individual targets for the carbon emissions. Then the balance sheet will be maintained. Other South American countries should be made a propaganda and the policy regarding to maintain the carbon emissions. There should be a afforestation, not a particular trees in the Amazon rainforest, which is very, very important for COP30. That's all. Thank you.